Welcome back for another Saturday KMiata episode. This is episode 5, I believe. And this week, because I'm starting a new job myself this week, is going to be pretty light. So I'm going to be busy at my job all week. We've called it Hell Week already. So we're just going to handle some quick and dirty tasks. Plans for this week are going to be to mill down the crank bolt so that we have clearance between the sway bar. I'm also going to clean the sway bar up a little bit. It took some damage, so I'm just going to kind of angle grind it smooth. It's not going to be pretty. I'm going to hit it with some red spray paint and call it a day. And then we are going to replace the front main seal. Hopefully it has shown up, so I'm going to take care of that. The clutch showed up. I might take the flywheel off depending how much time I have this week. I won't be able to drop it off at a shop until the following week maybe. And then the big thing that I've been meaning to do and kind of putting off is start modifying the trans. So we'll get to that this week as well. And yeah, we're going to modify, paint, and clean up the trans. And that'll probably be a wrap for this week. But stick around. Going to be an episode of quick little tasks here and there, but should still be progress forward on the build, which is all that really matters. So let's do it. So real quick before I head out, I'm running a little bit late. We are about to go to my buddy Zach's house. He has a mill set up at his house, and we're going to mill down the back of the crank pulley that we had issues with on the front of the timing cover and the front of the crank bolt, just to make it like 1/8 of an inch shorter. So it doesn't hit the sway bar anymore. So I'm back from my buddy Zach's. It was a couple days ago now, and as you saw in the footage, we took about 1/8 inch off the front of the crank bolt. I had some comments that said not to do this and to move the sway bar farther forward or down or anything like that. And while I did consider that, I can't move it forward because my fans are in the way, and then I would have to make custom mounts to push the radiator farther forward, which is going to interfere with my intercooler placement and things like that. So it's kind of a rabbit hole. So this is going to do the trick for now. As you can see, there's still plenty of depth left on this for the socket to sit. I'm not really worried about it, and it's just going to give me enough space to clear everything. And on the back of the crank pulley, there's a lip right here where you can see where my finger is. And we took off about 50 thousandths more than what I had ground off originally, which I did it with an angle grinder, so I have no idea how much it took off. It was still touching just a little bit, and I wanted to take off. I probably could have gotten off with like 20 thou or something like that, but I figured I'd take off a little more, and then I wouldn't have a rubbing issue in the future. And it's really an unnecessary lip, so it doesn't matter if I took off more or less. So those are done. Front main seal has shown up, so I can replace front main seal and get that all bolted back together. And in theory, put the radiator back in, stuff like that. But I probably won't put the radiator back in for a while. Not until I have an intercooler to mock up. It gives me a lot of working room in the engine bay, so it's kind of nice. So today's plan, well, right now actually, because Cam is coming over so I can fix his daily. I don't know how I get sucked into fixing everybody's daily. I'm going to start modifying the trans. I don't have the slave yet from KMiata. I might order it soon. I've been buying a lot of stuff lately, so I'm trying to take it easy on my wallet and not drop a couple grand all at once. So first thing I got to do is drill a 2-inch, or I got a 2 1/4 inch hole saw, 2-inch hole out of the trans so that I can fit the starter on the other side. Super simple. I've got that marked out. I'll show you how to where that is roughly. I know where it is without lining the adapter plate up because I did it once already, and I compared it to my 5-speed. I'm going to put a new rear seal on the trans on the tail shaft, and then I got to swap my NA sensors over because it's an NB trans, so I'm going to be putting those sensors in the car. Hopefully they are the same. If not, I'll switch them out later. But yeah, I already rebuilt the shifter. I'll show you guys that, and we're going to paint it because I'm me, and while it's clean, it can be cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of this stuff. It's PR15 caliper paint. It's high heat, withstands up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's good enough for calipers, it's good enough for transmission. Hopefully my trans doesn't get more than 500 degrees. If it does, we have other problems. I've used it on my engine block, holds up fine. I used it on my last trans, held up great, and it just gives this nice like factory fresh look to it. It is kind of tedious and it gets all over you, which is why I have clothes on that I don't care about, like sweatpants and an old hoodie. So we're gonna get to drilling first, and then we're gonna paint. So this is a 6-speed from an NB. It is not a MSM 6-speed. There's stories back and forth on whether or not there's a difference. I believe there is. The gears are a different part number, so I think they're kind of heat treated. There's a couple modifications I got to make to this thing to make it fit. Like I said earlier, the starter's on this side instead of on that side, so I need to drill a 2-inch hole here. I've got a hole saw right here. This is a 2 1/4 inch. It's both metal and wood, so it'll work just fine. I'm going to drill the hole, and then I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit and make it look nice. That should be enough clearance, hopefully. I'm going to have to massage out probably these dowel pins over here. Not sure. I had to on the 5-speed to clear KMiata's little alignment posts. And then I'm going to take this and this sensor out over here. There's a sensor on the back side here. And I'm going to switch those out because this plug, I don't have this plug. So I'm going to keep them just in case I'm wrong, but I'm going to switch them out for the NA ones that I have sitting over here. I've already rebuilt the shifter. This is a 6-speed shifter out of this trans. I harvested my brass bushing, which if you have a Miata, you should definitely do the brass bushing upgrade. It shifts really nice now. Not a lot of slop. Everybody says the 6-speeds shift like garbage. I think the brass bushing fixed that. You can hear how notchy this thing is. This was rebuilt allegedly by the previous owner. He's a friend of mine. He had a shop rebuild it. I trust him, so I'm going to take his word for it. I'm likely going to go with the Miata Roadster, like nice tilted shifter. I drove one a year ago and it blew my mind. It's just $350 I don't want to spend right now. So for now, this will work. It's so good. I'm going to do a new input shaft seal. OEM Mazda rear main, or I guess tail shaft seal. Joe had a spare, so he gave that one to me. And then eventually, once I get that slave cylinder from KMiata, I'm going to have to drill 2 little holes here. They're like a 1/2 inch hole, I think, just to guide these lines, which run into the master cylinder, or the slave cylinder to the clutch master, and one's a bleed line. So I don't know exactly where those are going to go yet. I know it's different on the 6-speed, so I'm going to wait. I can drill those little to no problem later. But yeah, so the plan for today: drill, swap, paint, replace. Not necessarily in that order. Definitely drill and paint first. So we're going to do that, and yeah, I'm just going to time lapse you guys because it's going to be extremely boring. Yeah, let's get to it. So this is one coat. There's some kind of streaks everywhere where you can see the base coat or the regular aluminum underneath. It's probably dry enough now. It's been a couple hours, so I might hit it with a second coat real quick now. It's just got a light pass to cover everything up. It looks way better already, and so today I'm probably just going to finish this up, and then I'm also going to fix the sway bar. So Here's where it was grinding on the crank bolt, so it actually took out a sizable amount of material right there. So I'm not going to take any more material off, especially now that we ground down the crank bolt, and it shouldn't be an issue. But what I am going to do is smooth it out with the angle grinder and then just hit it with some red paint. That way it's all cleared and safe. So I'm going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to hit that with a coat of silver, and that's going to be it. I got like 0 sleep last night, so just trying to make some progress, but I'm pretty whooped. So yeah, let's get to it. I know that this is a hollow bar, and taking off material here is obviously going to reduce the effectiveness of the bar and cause a weak point really right in the center, which is subpar, but I don't want to step down in size. I've already got this bar, so it's fine. It'll be alright. I'm just going to hit it with some red paint, kind of tape it off, and it's not going to look the prettiest, but you won't see it. It's just going to protect it from rusting out. So let's do that. I just ground it until all the damage was gone. It's actually pretty deep, which kind of sucks, but yeah, we'll make do. Maybe in the future I'll figure out a better solution for all this. So there it is. It's actually like a perfect match, whatever this Rust-Oleum red is. So that should be fine. I'm going to let this dry before I put it back in the car. Again, no rush for anything. You can kind of see it right there. So yeah, this is done. Time to put a second coat on the trans, and then we're going to call it quits for today, but not for this episode. So stick around because we're going to do front main and all sorts of other stuff, hopefully by the end of the week. Transmission's all painted up. As you can see, I got paint over like all of the little sensors and whatnot. So what I'm going to do next is swap these over. These are both from the NA, so that I can plug them both back into my car. To be honest, I'm not sure which is which, so that might take me a second. I probably should have paid attention when I took them out, but I'm also not sure which does which, because they look almost exactly the same. They do the same feature. One's a reverse switch for the lights, and one is a neutral safety switch, I believe. So all it is a detent. When you're in that gear, it pushes it in, and yeah. So I'm gonna pop both of these out. I believe this, yeah. I'm gonna do some Googling, figure out which goes where, and then I'm also gonna replace the rear seal on the trans with this one. Super easy. Just take a block of wood, rubber mallet, tap, 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 and it goes. Might have to take it off the workbench for that, but we'll see. I'll be flipping it on its stomach, this side, and taking the slave housing off, or I guess, I don't even know what it's called. This is what connects to the slave cylinder, and there's a plate inside of there that's bolted up to the transmission around the input shaft. That's got to come off so that whenever I do end up buying, which probably by this point when you've seen this, I've already bought it. When I do buy that slave cylinder from KMiata, I can just slam it on and we'll be ready to go. Once I'm at that point today, that'll be it for the trans. I'm going to just go put it back in the corner and then work on the next thing, which is probably just going to be the crank bolts. Front main seal, crank pulley, and crank bolt. Put it all back together so that it's all tidy and locked up. So, yeah. I'm going to cut to me knowing where these go, but first I need to figure out where they go.
Enhance. Enhance.
So I was totally wrong. This sensor, well, I need to keep the sensors that come on the 6-speed. Apparently the thread pitch is different from these to these, so you can't actually physically thread these in. This is the reverse light switch, or yeah, I guess reverse switch. It's already the same plugs as the 5-speed version, so we don't need to actually touch this sensor. But the neutral safety switch is this weird, well, I guess this normal sensor, whereas the 5-speed uses these little 2 pins. Luckily, none of it's polarity sensitive, so all I'm going to do is chop this, and then solder and heat shrink these fittings onto this line, and we'll be all set with a sensor swap. So it's pretty easy. Not as easy as unbolting and rebolting, but still pretty straightforward. So I'm going to cut to that being done, and I'll show you what it looks like. There you have it. Not my prettiest work, but in here there's this 2 connections, one for each, and then I put heat shrink around both of those, and then one around the entire thing. That way it can't get pulled or tugged in any weird way. It's pretty stout. This is that nice marine grade heat shrink that you can see it oozes out some nice little schmoo here. So this is all waterproof inside. Not that these are really waterproof, but wiring on the trans is done. Next thing I'm going to do, because I need to take it off of the workbench to do this guy, is I'm going to flip it on its bottom side and take the front main seal cover, I guess if you want to call that, entirely off and kind of clean that up. I no longer need this guy just because there's a concentric slave, so it's going to ride out on a hydraulic cylinder, which is what you saw those two hoses coming out of here were on the 5-speed. We'll have to do that again here. I just can't drill them until I know where they're supposed to go. So for now, I'm going to take this off, take the clutch fork off, and then pop the, I don't even know what we're going to call this, but we're going to pop this guy off here in the back and then just clean that flange up, and then that'll be it for the bell housing side until I have that new part that'll bolt on. So an important note here, if you guys are doing this on your any of your swaps, sometimes there's a shim right around on this face right here, and when you pop off the cover that was just on there, it'll either fall out or go with the cover. Double check that it's not on the cover or somewhere laying around, because you need to reinstall that on the K-swap kit. Otherwise your spacing is going to be off here, and your throw is just not going to work the same. So keep an eye on that. There should only be one on here, one or a couple of them, but this is the only one that should have it. So just keep an eye out. But the last thing I'm going to do here is kind of clean this gasket material up. I've got this really cool attachment for my drill. It's like a little bristle brush that's meant for literally taking gaskets off of aluminum. So I'm going to go ahead, zip that stuff off, and then wipe down the inside of this because it's a mess. And then we'll be all set. Not sure how well you can see, but it's all cleaned up. I just took a razor blade to make sure everything was finished off. And I wiped down the inside. I'm not going to go like crazy cleaning this up. Just make sure like all the chips and stuff are out of here from when I drilled the hole, and that any like crazy grease buildup is gone. This never gets seen once it's put back together, and will inevitably get dirty with dust from the clutch and everything, so there's no point in making it spotless. I do enough unnecessary things like painting the outside of the transmission and all that stuff, so this is good. I'm going to throw this guy on the ground. Actually, I'm just going to set it on the ground carefully and swap the output seal and put this guy away. So let's get to that. Quick interruption before we go any farther. Just want to mention that we got stickers. If you follow us on Instagram, you definitely saw this. I've got 200 of them sitting here. Well, a couple less now. A bunch of you reached out to me and asked if I could ship them to you, and I will, gladly. I'll slap them in an envelope, ship them right to you. Feel free to, you can PayPal me. I'll put the link right here, or I guess the name right here. Just PayPal me $3. I'll send you 2 of those and 2 of the other ones that we have, just regular mail. And yeah, feel free to reach out or DM me, whatever, on Instagram, Napp Motorsports, Instagram, same thing. Something to pay attention to on these when you install them. There's one bump out up here, and then 2 bump outs down here, and a little breather weep hole circle thing. I don't know what it's for. I'm not going to be able to show you on camera. This says up, this says down. This is up, this is down. So just make sure you line it up. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, but I'm assuming as long as you're close to down, you don't have to like make it perfect. Just going to press it in a little bit by hand. Clean all the grime off my hands. Trusty 2x4. This thing's been through some stuff. And then just, this is a dead blow. You can do a rubber mallet, whatever. Just carefully hammer it in place. You're not trying to like slam this in. Just slowly guide it in, make sure it goes in flat. this is good. I'm going to wipe all the excess grease off the outside here, and the transmission can go away for a couple weeks. So yeah, next we're going to work on the front main seal, I think. Sounds like an easy task. So I'm not sure why this failed. Nothing on the seal gives it away. Here's the new one, here's the old one. It's a little, dingy, but it's not a surprise for being, 4,000 or 5,000 miles old. It's got some weird nicks on it, so it's possible it was rubbing on the front of the, or back of the crank pulley, I guess. But what I did find, and I think this is my fault from last year when I sanded this down with the angle grinder, there's some nicks along here. They're very shallow along this inner lip here. I tried to sand it down with some 1200 grit sandpaper, and it feels smooth to my hands, but it's very possible that it was worse last year and it killed the seal. I don't know if I want to install this because I don't want to be in the same boat as I was last year. So I might just order, this is a K24 Z3 pulley. I might just order a K24 A2 pulley, and it'll bolt right on. It doesn't have this weird ring on it. So I'm going to look into that. What I will do today is finish putting the front main seal on, but that'll be as far as I can go. Kind of sucks, but it's all part of it. So we will, yeah, I guess we'll have to hold on that one. Sweet. So, all right, well, let's get to throwing the seal in. Just gonna put some lube on the outside, press it in, and that's it. I'm just gonna hammer it in gently. I think I have a 36 mil socket, which is the right size for this. Yeah, just flush with the front surface, maybe a tiny bit more, and that's all it really needs. There you have it. There's the front main seal. I did recess it a tiny bit just to be sure. I mean, it's maybe like a fraction of a millimeter. Like I said earlier, I can't install this guy because of the burring on the outside of this. Not really burring, but the marks on the outside of this pulley. The reason I had to grind this down is because it's a Z3 pulley, so I'm just going to go buy a used A2 pulley for like 40 bucks and slam it on the car, and I won't have to worry about it. So kind of sucks because I wanted to put the sway bar and all that stuff back in today, but there's other things I have to do, so might as well do those instead. Alright, we're back. Admittedly, it's been a couple days for me, probably like 4, since I've been in the garage. It's getting pretty cold outside, which means my motivation kind of tanks. I'd rather sit inside and watch people build their own stuff on YouTube than crawl out here when it's freezing and work on my own stuff. I do have heat with this guy. And the roof, while it looks like garbage, is insulated. And when we built the garage out, all the walls are insulated. But there's a huge, like 650-foot concrete slab below me. And all it does is suck heat right out of here. Eventually, the concrete warms up, but that takes a while, and it takes a lot to get me motivated. So, right now, I have long johns on, I guess you can call them, just to try and stay warm out here, because I'm going to be on the ground, which is going to be cold. So, don't have a lot left for this video because of the crank pulley incident. I'm not entirely sure where we left off, but I have a new one coming. It left California yesterday, 2 days ago. But with the holidays and COVID and all that garbage, it's going to take a while for it to get here. So if it doesn't come in time, that'll just be part of episode 6. Yeah, episode 6, which is the next one. So today what we're going to wrap up finally is I'm going to finish securing the fuel lines from the last episode. So I've got these little clampy guys. I'm just going to riv nut them in under the car and then put the fuel lines out of the way. I'm going to fix the injector wiring because that stuff showed up. And then I'm going to take the flywheel off while I'm underneath the car. And then tomorrow I'm going to run that over to Bucks Auto, the same guys that have worked on all the heads that I've done. And he's just going to mill that down. I'll show you guys what it looked like. I realized I didn't in episode 2. So I'll take that off. I'll show you guys the hot spots. I'm pretty sure it's from the slave cylinder failure, which I have ordered a slave cylinder and it'll be here in 2 days. But I don't want to put it all back together with a kind of crusty, possibly bad flywheel face, because if it slips again, then I got to take it all apart. So do it once, do it right. Bucks is quick. I can probably give it to him, sit there and wait, and he'll have it done. So Maybe maybe this episode will end with me putting that back together and putting the clutch and all that stuff in the car, but we'll see. Yeah, so first thing I'm going to do, because I don't want to get on the ground yet, is the injector wiring. So let me talk you through it real quick. So here's what I've got currently. And you can see when we made it, it's super close. These like injector labels, injector 1, they're super close to the clip, so I can't cut these and heat shrink new ones on. So I'm going to have to slice this as well as the heat shrink. Cut the wire right here, and then put on my new ones that Flowforce sent me. So I'm gonna just time lapse through it because it's kind of awkward. I can't pull this out onto the workbench or anything, so I'll put you guys probably up here. Don't look at that, that's the next episode. And then I'll just show me, you know, working through these 4, making sure they plug in, and that'll be it for this portion of the job. Should be pretty straightforward. I just hate wiring, and I hate working with this loom stuff, even though it looks really nice. So let's get to it and let's finish up another task. So as you guys know, I hate wiring, so that sucked for me, even though it was simple. If I had left, when I built the harness, if I had left some space to be able to like cut in and splice in wires, it would have been a little easier. But it is done, and everything is plugged in. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. I managed to label them all. I'm gonna unplug them because I need to pull the harness back out of the way. But yeah, so that's all set. You can see my breath, it's cold in here. So injector wiring, check it off the list. And then now we got to unbolt the flywheel from the car first. I didn't realize that. And then we'll take the flywheel face off. And then while we're down there on doing that, we're going to secure the fuel lines up there. The camera kind of sucks while it's down there, so I'm probably just going to cut to the flywheel on the bench. So there you have it. This is the bad side. Here's the side that bolts up to this guy. So they're not going to take a lot off. They just need to do enough to get through this weird hot spotting pattern that you can see on here. That one's really bad right there. So yeah, this should be pretty easy for them to mill. I'm not entirely sure if they just like bolt it down to a surface and mill it or what, but find out tomorrow. That's going to be it for tonight. I will touch base with you guys when this is back tomorrow, hopefully. He's pretty fast. I might swing over there in the morning. I just realized I forgot to film an outro for this episode. So, thanks for watching. That's going to be a wrap for now. I took the friction disc to the shop to have him machine it, and he said it's just too thin to hold on to because it's a simple plate. So I ordered a new one from KMiata. It was like 140 bucks shipped, not the end of the world. Probably would have been 100 bucks to machine it, so I might as well start with a new one. But yeah, so once that shows up, I'll put that on the flywheel and put that stuff all in the car and hopefully slam the trans in, and that'll be a big check mark off the list, which would be nice, and then we can start the downpipe and all the fun stuff. So if you like what you saw or you didn't, hit that like or hit the dislike button, either way. Leave a comment, let us know what you think, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. We got a bunch of cool stuff. We're playing with turbos next episode, next weekend. Big time, making manifolds and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool, and all the fun stuff starts now. So, well, the fun stuff gets more fun, I guess. But yeah, stick around. We're going to do some cool stuff, and you guys should be here for it. So see you next time.